you can even, it's going to be on YouTube, so you could share it with friends, but hopefully you'll invite your friends to some of our other sessions. We have 3 more to come, another one on Friday, one on Tuesday, and one on Thursday. Okay, so let's get started. So this is on Class Connect and Dash's Neighborhood, but what it really is about is to show you how easy and fun it is to teach coding. That's what this is all about. This is a new technology, and it was really designed to improve the classroom and teaching coding in the classroom. And so it wasn't designed for COVID and for you teaching at home, but of course it's a fantastic solution for that. So we're going to show you how you can use it. It's basically an LMS and for coding, and so that's what we're going to do today. So first of all, for a quick introduction, so my name's Daryl Johnston, and I'm the education consultant for Western Canada, and so I'm here in Kelowna, BC. And Keith Nelson is the manager of the education division. Say hi, Keith.
Hi, Keith.
That's very good, very good. And so yeah, the two of us. So Keith's going to jump in anytime he wants, but otherwise I'm going to be happy to do this presentation for you. Okay. So real quickly about the company. The company is 3 different divisions, so 12 years old, and there's the education division, which is what we're in, which is basically helping out school districts and schools across Canada. And then there's the academy, which is training. We actually train students, so we do that for districts. Districts will hire us to train students. In the past, we've gone into the classrooms and taught students, but of course now we're doing it all virtually. And the 3rd division is our robots division, which is actually our wholesale division. So if you've ever bought a robot from Best Buy or Staples or any of the educational retailers or robot.com, there's a good chance you purchased it from us because we're the wholesaler in Canada for a number of companies that do robotics. So real quickly, there's a number of the robots that we sell and also some makerspace products. The one, of course, we're going to work on today is Dash, because the manufacturer of Dash is called Wonder, and they created this virtual neighborhood and this LMS. And so that's really what we want to show you. So what is Class Connect and Dash's Neighborhood? Well, as I've already said, it really is about it's an LMS. It's easier to show than it is to talk. So let's just go straight in here. I'm going to click out of here and I'm going to go into the teacher portal. So this is the teacher side of things. So the teachers can come in here. You can sign in with your Google, or you can just put in an email and password, and you click sign in, and it takes you into the portal, which, by the way, students and teachers can use Chromebook, Windows, Mac, iOS, and soon they'll be able to use iPads as well. So when you come in here, the first thing a teacher sees is these tools, so they can go into the dashboard from here. They can go into the student section, which is called Blockly. You can see that, and I'm going to show you that in a couple of minutes. There's also some flagship programs from Wonder, and then there's extended resources, so you can extend your teaching and help students in a number of different ways. It's a very complete program. It's one of the reasons why we really love it. Okay, I'm going to start off with the boring stuff. So obviously the first thing you need to do is set up your classroom. Now there's a couple of different ways to set up a classroom. By the way, there's a bit of a lag because of course we're doing this as a webinar, so I apologize for that. It's actually a very quick program, and so no problem. And also, by the way, I'm saying that you don't have to believe me. You can get guest access. So we'll talk about that again at the end, but just recognize that we're happy to provide you with 30-day guest access so that you can run around and do all these things yourself. It's really, it's a lot of fun. So the first thing you can see here is you can create classrooms. So you can create multiple classrooms. You can share a classroom. So if you're co-teaching with someone else, then you can share the classroom and co-teach with them. But I'm going to go into a classroom that I've already made. So I'm going to pick this one, DJ class. Let's go in here. And as you can see, there's already quite a few students in here. So there's the student names. You don't have to use the student names, by the way, but so you can use the student names. And that is the only personal information that's in there. It's nondescript, it's just a name. And so security is one of the things, of course, it's important to your IT department. And you can tell them there's no problems because there's no place for students to input information. And so there's no security issues with using Class Connect or a Blockly or Dash, okay? And what we've done for the profile names, this is the profile name that the students will see. So we've intentionally done it student A, student B, student C. I think that's how most of our districts do it. I'm going to be talking about price at the end, but it's important to recognize that you can use this with multiple classrooms. So let's say this is the first class of the year in September and they use this for 3 weeks. Well, at the end of it, all we have to do is click in here, edit the name of the student, put in the new student from the different class, put in the whole different class, and now we can use it again. And so we could actually use this same license 5 or 6 times through the year. And if it's a larger district, or if you have the access and it's easy, you could download the classroom from your SIS system. So all the names of the students and give them profile names, and then upload it into the system. So there's a couple different ways than to create your own class. Okay, so that's the boring, easy stuff. You just create your classroom. But I'm going to give you a real quick look at the dashboard for the teacher, just so I can, because I'm going to go in as a student in a second, and I want to be able to come back and show you how that affects the dashboard. So here's the dashboard again. There's all my students. So if I had 25 students in my class, you'd see a list of 25, and you can see where every student is on their activities. So you can see that the one student, Frank Fabian's done very well. The other students are lagging behind. And I'll come back and show that more, but I just want to show you the one thing here. You see Ben Kwan has robot puppy training. And so we're going to come back and we're going to see that here in a second. Okay, so that's the teacher side. Now, the other thing that makes this so great is that the students, because we're talking grade 1 to grade 7, so the grade 1s aren't going to remember a username and password. They don't have to. They log in one time, and after that, it's going to be automatic for them. And so there's the code. As a teacher, you send them the URL and the code. And if I were teaching this class, which by the way, I did teach, I do have my teaching degree. If I were teaching this class, I would do it as a class, as an entire class at the start. Get them all to sign in, make sure they're all signed in, they know their username, or they know their which identity to use. And so they send this, the teacher sends this code off with the URL, and the students go in that way. And so where they go is they end up here. And obviously there's the 2 different areas they can go into, and the one we want to click into is the dash and dot. And so we click on that, and it sends us into our classroom because it knows what classroom we're in. And now we have the ability to select our profile. So each student has their own profile. So I'm going to go in here as student B. So let me double click student B here. So the neat thing about this, of course, is obviously it's online. So they could be doing this from home or in the classroom or in the library, anywhere where they can get internet access. So what comes up for the student is they can do the puzzles. So that's what you already saw. You saw that list of all the activities for them to do. That's called the puzzles. Then they have their projects. So those are projects that they've created and saved. And then there's the create new, which is how they can create a new project. And I'm going to go through those in a second. But let's start with the puzzle part, because this is what makes teaching coding so easy, is the fact that it's all laid out for you. So as we can see, as we go into student B, which is Ben, Ben has already done 5 sections. And so his next section to do is this puppy section, puppy training. So I'm going to click on the puppy training. And so there's puppy training, tells a little description of what it's going to be about. So I'm going to click on the forward button. And now we come into the puppy training. So the puppy training, what you're doing is So there's a physical robot with Dash. I'm sorry, I probably should have shown you this earlier. So there's Dash, the physical robot. And this is Dash's Neighborhood, which is the virtual version. And everything that you can basically do with Dash, the physical robot, you could do virtually with the virtual robot. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to click on the start button here. So there you go. You could see that Dash woke himself up and he said, hi, hi. And so now I can click on the inputs, and there's actually multiple inputs here, but for this lesson plan, we're just learning about the top button. And so we can do all of these neat things with Dash. So, and we have to go through them and work through them as part of the puzzles. And the neat thing is that as we work through them as part of the puzzles, that is what's going into your Class Connect to make it an LMS. So it's really easy for you to see what your students are doing and where they're going. Okay, so that's going through the puzzles. I'm going to go back now and show you some even more fun piece. So now if your students are keen, which they will be, because this is so much fun, they get excited about it, and they're probably going to want to do more than just your standard work. So let me go back into student B. Okay, again, so I apologize for being so slow with because of the webinar. It's a bit slow. Let's see. Oh, there he is. Oh, sorry, clicked the wrong thing. So there's student B. Let's go into student B. So now we can, as a student, we get really excited. We want to do more, or you've finished your assignment already. Then it's easy for them to do free play. So you can, as a teacher, just assign them to go in. So all they have to do is create a new project. And there's all these cool templates. So they can click on any of these templates and it'll give them some hints as to how to get started and how to put in the correct blocks. Okay, let's show you what I mean by put in the correct blocks. So again, the key to this is how easy it is for a teacher to teach. So I'm going to go in my projects and show you one that I've already created. So the students again can create their own projects. So this one I created is called DJ Sample. And now you're going to get to see how the real coding works and how easy it is. So this is a program that I created. So let's go through what does that mean? It's again, let's pretend you don't know anything about coding. You may be a little nervous about teaching coding. It is so easy to do. So what the students have is they have these blocks that they can use, and all they do is they pull the block over into the area, and they're actually creating a program. I'm going to dump this one in the garbage so it doesn't get in our way. All right, so I pulled that one in and then I threw it away. So there's different ways that you can start. There's different ways you can drive. You can drive forward, backwards, turn, all those good things. You can have the robot look left or right or up or down. Sorry, if I'm going too fast, I apologize. Remember, you are going to get a recording or the ability to go into our YouTube and see a recording of this. And so you'll see my version of it. By the way, this morning, we've been trying to fix this for the last hour or so, but for some reason, you may not have heard Dash. Keith, did you hear Dash go, right? You did? Oh, good. Okay, perfect. So then, so that sounds good. So anyway, when you get the recording, you'll be able to hear it as well. There's lights, so obviously it can change colors. That's the lights on the side and around. And then there's sound, which one of the things that I should have done and I didn't is you can record your own sounds with this. And so the students love that. They create their own sounds and then they put that in a program and then it'll do whatever sound they've created. The animations, now we're getting into the stuff for the older students. So you can make Dash dance or do different expressions or do all sorts of things. The control functions, again, a little higher level. So now we're maybe talking grades 5, 6, 7. So the ability to do things like put in repeats and things like that. And then there's variables as well, so the higher level. And then finally, there's the accessories. So if any of you have used Dash before, you know how much fun it is with the launcher where you can play basketball. There's the sketch kit, so you can do artwork with it. And then there's the gripper to pick things up, and it's really, really a lot of fun. Again, this is a wonderful social emotional robot. In fact, it is the most popular robot in schools in Canada. So a wonderful robot for helping students. Okay, so let's run the program. Let me click on the run button, and then I'll be quiet so you can hear it. So we're in Dash's neighborhood. So it's right now what it's going to do is going to show you the neighborhood. So take a look at the background. There's so much fun stuff to do in Dash's neighborhood, and these places that you're seeing on the screen, students can go in and do different things in different locations. So the neighborhood is very complete and really a lot of fun for the students, and obviously very engaging. So right now, as you see, it's doing 4 times. It's moving forward 50, which is 5 of the grids, and then it's turning left 19. So it's going to end up back where it started. And now it's going to turn, look left, and its lights are going to change, and now it's going to dance. I love that. That's it. The kids love that. Obviously, again, that's why one of the reasons why it's so popular is because you know, again, it's a social emotional robot. So they you know, they can get involved with the robot, and it's a lot of fun. Okay. So one of the key things about this is that the students can obviously be using this from home, which is fantastic if, heaven forbid, COVID strikes again and you have to start teaching from home. The lesson plans that you've been using and you created for use in class can easily be done from home. So that's why Wonder launched this a little earlier, and hopefully you saw the attachment that was sent out with the original email message about Toronto Catholic. So they used it in the spring. They purchased it because they wanted to keep their code going, even though they were teaching from home. And if you saw there, they loved it. It worked out great for them. And we're in fact expanding that and doing even more with Toronto Catholic. So, you know, I think it's going to be wonderful if you do have to teach from home. But it wasn't built for that. What it was built for is if you had, let's say, 25 students and you only have 2 Dash robots. So if you have 25 students and only 2 Dash robots, then you know, you could obviously only have a few students using the robots themselves, but instead have them using this virtual neighborhood. And the neat thing is they can test out their code. And I think what's really exciting is once they've got a code that they're really proud of, then they can go to the teacher and they can say, hey, I want to show all the other students and you my new coding, my new program. So I'm turning on Dash. So there's Dash saying howdy do. And all I have to do is click this plus button. And now we can see that this Dash in my hand, I can now connect to it and pair it up. And I could run that exact same program that I just ran virtually on here. Sorry, he's a little noisy. I hope you can hear me. There you go. I've turned them off. So we can connect. So you can see, can you imagine how exciting that is for a student to be able to do all that work? They might even be doing it at home, and then they come to school and then they can show all the other students and their teacher with the physical Dash. Okay, let me cancel that and go out. Okay, perfect. So we have, so that's how the students can use it, and you can see how engaging it is. I'm sorry, I should have done one more thing. Let me just do it right now. Is that they can actually do this full screen. And so there's Dash's neighborhood. You can see it a lot better.
You can zoom in and out too. Why don't you show how you can move around the, if you drag the spin around the robot.
Yep. Yeah, it's really laggy, Keith. So you can see it a bit there. You can see me moving it around. But yeah, you can move around the neighborhood. You can get different views. and you can actually even make it just move with the cursor, and it's a very robust. And so that's why, you know, obviously there's a lot of advanced teachers that love using Dash. It's very popular in classrooms. But the one thing I want to stress is that if you're nervous about teaching coding, if you have a lot of teachers that are nervous about teaching coding, then this is fantastic for you, because you can do it without you know, very easily. Okay, so that's it for the student side. Let's go back into the portal. Let's see.
Paul has a question there we can address. He's asking if how the teacher can see the students' progress. So if the students have created a code, they would just download the code. So if you go back to the students' portal there, Daryl, you could show when a student creates the code, they download a code that the teacher then has to upload. So if they're creating something brand new, that's how they would share the code. So they would have to share that with the teacher. The teacher downloads the code and they can run the program. But to see the progress through the puzzles, that was that dashboard, that Blockly dashboard that Daryl was showing earlier.
Well, that I'm going back to right now, because this is the important part. So again, as a teacher, you have a lot of strength and abilities, even if you're not that comfortable with teaching coding. So I'm going to go back here a little ways, and I'm just going to click in so you can see our students and how they're progressing. But you see, one of our students, Kathy Johnson, has a bit of a problem. That's what this means. And so if I click into here, it's actually going to show you what the problem is. So here's the suggested solution. And so as a teacher, you can see what the solution is, and you can see where Kathy missed. She just missed putting the turn left in there. So now you can go to Kathy, you can say, well, you know, where do you think that turn left should go? And you can work with Kathy on the instructions. So you can work with all your students. Again, it's like an LMS, so I can go to the next student and I can see how Frank Fabian solved the problem. So yeah, it's like an LMS, so it makes it really easy for teaching. The other thing is that if you had a student, let's say John Smith, joined you in the middle of your lesson, that's not a problem. So you say, oh, okay, John, you're pretty good with coding already. Why don't you start with interrupting robot? So we click in here, and we can give John access to interrupting robot. So now he skipped all those first ones, those preliminary ones, and now jumped right into interrupting robot, which if you break up your coding into, let's say it starts in grade 3. So you've got one section, a couple sections for grade 3, a couple more sections for grade 4, a couple more sections for grade 5. You're going to want to be able to start all your students in the 3rd section. You can do that really easily. So again, lots of flexibility with this as well. It's really, Wonder did a great job of working this out. Okay, so that's the program as far as Class Connect is concerned. But of course, this is a teaching program. So let's take a look at all of these have lesson plans with them. Oh, sorry. Again, a little bit of a lag, so I jumped past it. So all of these have lesson plans. So let's go into the lesson plan we've already been working on, which is robot puppy training. So I'm going to click in the top. And up comes our suggested solution. So we can see the two of them. But there's also lesson plans here. Let me click on my lesson plan. Oh, there it is. I actually already had it open. So there's your lesson plan, robot puppy training. Now these are Wonder's lesson plans. So Wonder's an American company. So these are still great lesson plans, but you may see that there's some American parts. Like for example, they spell neighborhood incorrectly, but that's okay. We'll forgive them for that. And so the lesson plans are here from Wonder, but we as a Canadian company have created lesson plans for Canadian schools as well. So there's all these lesson plans. So this is Dash and Dot, obviously is the one we're working on today, but here's some other robots, Cody Rocky, MBot, Q, Matata Lab. So there's lots of other lesson plans as well. But let's click into Dash and Dot. And here's the lesson plans, and you can tell it's Canadian because there's also French versions of these. And we have broken our lesson plans up into two types, which is code to learn, which means they're working on math or science. So if you were a grade 4 teacher and there was a part of the science curriculum, you could use the robot for teaching that math or science. And we have a number of lesson plans for that, code to learn. And of course, obviously, you're also going to want to teach them coding. And so there are these learn to code program lesson plans. So these are the ones that you would use to teach them how to code. So you can see that there's section A, and I think there's 10 activities in section A. There's actually all the way up to section F. So really, again, scope and sequence, your district or your principal or whoever it is who's decided, curriculum coordinator, would decide, oh, you know, we're going to start teaching this in grade 3, or it's based on, let's say, the new Ontario curriculum with math. We're really excited about that. And so scope and sequence are the first parts of it, sequencing and such, are taught in grade 3, and then the more complicated parts are taught in grade 7. We can take you through that because you have, you know, section A, section B, all the way up to section F. So you can decide how you want to teach them. But these are wonderful lesson plans through here as well. Now I see I'm really at the end of my time, and so I did promise to show you pricing. So let me go back into my PowerPoint and bring up the pricing just so you can see how economical this is too. It is terrific. So again, it's about concurrent users. So you purchase it for a year. So for example, you could purchase it for one teacher for use with 5 students concurrently, but then you could use that 5 or 6 times during the year. So you could end up teaching 25, 30 students through the year for $100. And obviously the next one is made for larger classes. So you one teacher and 35 students, again, the same thing, could be used in more than one school, certainly used in more than one classroom. So you're teaching multiple students. If you have a lot of the larger districts will have somebody who teaches coding. So if you have a teacher or 2 teachers that are teaching coding, purchase numbers C, and then they could be doing running up to 500 students at once through the coding system. And so that's again $23.50, great for teaching 500 students. And if you need more teachers to have access, you can have up to 25 teachers get access for $4,100. So there's the pricing information that I promised you. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, of course, the important thing is, and we talked about this before, is you can get 30-day guest access. Not just you, but any of your friends, anybody you want. If you have some teachers that are a little bit nervous, boy, give them a chance at this. I think they're going to see how they can get the students so excited about coding, and yet it's easy for them because of the Class Connect, because of the LMS style. So if you want, go ahead.
Note about that trial period. If you do try, it doesn't contain all of the features.
Right.
You're only able to create one classroom. You can't, with the open access, you can move students from classroom to another classroom. You can manage devices, allowing only certain students in and so forth. But that just only gives you some limited access, but at least gives you enough overview and be able to try it with students and see the progress.
That's perfect. Thanks, Keith. Appreciate that. So obviously, we're going to send you an email with a link to this recording. And so you can listen to it again, and you can share it with friends, please. And we'll get you so you can come in and get your guest access as well. And we're also going to ask you if there are some other folks in your district that we should talk to. What we'd really love to do is set up this same 30-minute presentation for your district, or even maybe your school, so we can show, more people and get everybody excited about using Class Connect and go from there. So if you have anybody you would recommend, first of all, again, we have the same presentation is going to be Friday, Tuesday, Thursday. And so if you have friends, please invite them to those. But if they can't make it, or even better, if you have a curriculum coordinator, or if it's a small district superintendent or whoever you want to have join us, and us to do the presentation again, we'd be happy to set up a special presentation just for you and the folks that you want to invite. Okay, I think that's it. I see I'm 3 minutes over time. I apologize for that. If you have to go, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. And we're going to stick around and answer any questions that you have. You can go into the chat and ask the questions, but we're going to unmute you now. Keith, go ahead and unmute everybody. And
So they can unmute themselves.
Okay, so just click on just unmute yourself. And if you want to ask us questions, that would be fantastic. So thank you so much. If you have to leave now, appreciate it. And there's our information. So if you have any questions, let us know. Okay.
Great question. Really, the limitation is based on how many access you have access to. So I think Daryl showed the last slide. Typical class 35 or one sort of classroom pass is one teacher and 35 students. So then you would have 35 students on that. If you have the 500 open access, you can have as many students as you want in one class.
Perfect. Great question. I've stunned everybody else.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording.
You're going to stop the recording. Okay, it's perfect.